Welcome back to another episode of the Olivia Gamber podcast. And today's episode is all about how your network is your net worth. Now, I've experienced this not only as a business owner, but as a corporate professional, and it rings true no matter which path you're on. So this is going to be a lot of value for anybody that's really looking to up-level your career and your business through strategic relationship building. And relationships, the currency of the world that we live in, because opportunities, exposure, doors are all tied to people. And people want to do business with people they like, know, and trust. And so as I think about the impact that relationships has had on my career, I know it's been a huge part of the success that I'm seeing. So for example, I have a newsletter, and every week I add free value. I add free value with this podcast to over 30,000 people on that newsletter that have opted in to experience my value, my thought leadership. And through offering that value consistently, I am getting that value in return to me. So that helps me to add value, and your income is directly correlated with how many people you serve and how well you serve them. And the people you serve are not just the people that pay you. This is also relevant for all people that can't experience that value and that need that value. Still in that more transactional quid pro quo, where if you do this for me, I do this for you. That type of mindset is limiting, because most opportunities, whether it's a job or through business, come through that second and third degree of connection. And so people share that value with others who need it as well, because they got to experience the quality of it. And so the same rings true early in my career as I was rapidly climbing the corporate ladder. And by age 25, I was leading a team, a whole department of people much older than me, and no one understood why. And it all had to do with my innate ability to build those strategic relationships, and to do so with real intention behind it. Because even so, as you get to a certain level, once you're looking at like 6-figure opportunities or higher level business opportunities, everybody's qualified, everybody's elite, everyone is capable. So then it becomes about who likes you and trusts you and knows you. And so why do relationships matter in a world of AI and where everything technology and everybody's spamming the internet and everybody wants to automate everything and do as little as possible? And I will say that emotional intelligence is at an all-time low, because so many people have forgotten the basics of relationship building and the value of that. The world has become extremely transactional, and relationships matter now more than ever. So why do relationships matter? Again, the best opportunities are tied to people. If we're talking about job boards and job postings, 80% of the best opportunities are never posted. There was a study done by LinkedIn that in 2023, 80% of opportunities were never posted on a job board. And this has been true for my career as well. The best opportunities, business opportunities, were never posted, published, or advertised. Next, the people that you surround yourself to give you exposure. Let me explain. If you get a high-level person to share your work, to introduce you, that immediately comes in through a trusted source. So you're skipping steps of having to build trust and authority with a decision maker or a group of people. So this is key for entry point for positioning yourself for highly competitive job opportunities. This is also relevant when you're trying to explain your business through strategic partnerships. And that's why so many people explode their business through strategic partnerships, because they're leveraging the trust and authority of another brand. And that's how they explode their company. And you're able to accelerate that trust building journey, because for anybody here, you know that building trust and building that connection can take time, especially with customers or with executives and decision makers that are really the key to that opportunity that you're seeking. And another thing that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, but the people you surround yourself directly influence your energy, your beliefs, your drive, and your motivation. So if you've got people around you that are not really goal-oriented, they're not really doing anything with their life, they're kind of negative, or they're talking down to you, or they're talking negatively about your drive and your motivation, you've got to cut the cord immediately. You've got to create distance, because there's so many studies that show that we shrink ourselves to match our environment, and it's a subconscious thing. But when you're in a room of people you're running laps on, subconsciously you're not going to run as hard. Versus if you go in a room and everybody's running laps on you, it's immediately going to up your game, because you're going to realize you really aren't as great as you thought you were, and it's going to take you to the next level. And when you get in rooms, and I remember the first time I got in a room with a bunch of millionaire women and men, but specifically mothers, they completely expanded my mind, because I had never been exposed to the mindset of a CEO mother who held the belief systems that you can be a great mom and a powerful business owner and have designed their life accordingly. So being exposed to new ways of living, new paradigms of thinking, new worldviews can completely change the trajectory of your life. And I see it every day at my company, Career Evolve, where we have this private community of executives, and we're really protective of it, because we want to protect the value and the mindset of that community, because most people are very transactional. They're operating in competition and scarcity, and they don't want to add value to others before knowing what they're going to get out of it. And so that type of limited thinking just causes people to siphon the energy out of the room, versus if you come in with a more service mindset and adding value, not worried about if that value is going to come back from that one person, but knowing and trusting the law of reciprocity. The more value you add to people that get to experience that value will always come back to you. But you can't be coming in expecting it back immediately. Your personal brand is built through that experience that you are giving that value. And the more people that experience that value, you create interest. And that's how you create opportunity. But if you're waiting and holding back that value, and you're worried that they're going to take advantage of you, or they're going to take too much, and you're just gatekeeping all the goodness and getting people to get to experience that, and you're not allowing that energy to flow, then you're missing out on the opportunity of really building an amazing brand for your personal brand, for your career, and for your business. And so what are strategic relationships? And which ones should you focus on building? Because we all know one relationship can literally open up 8 doors and completely change your life. I've seen it happen over and over again, where one conversation can dramatically change the trajectory of my career and my business. And it's happened to me over and over again. But you've got to be really intentional about who you want to be connecting with, who is aligned with your vision. And so some ideas to think about this, because if you just go to a networking event and there's just a bunch of recruiters and unemployed people, well, that's a complete waste of time, especially if you're looking at the higher level, C-level opportunities. You're not going to find those at a general networking event, right? In fact, they're not going to be advertising that type of opportunity. So thinking about where you want to focus that energy. And I like to recommend that you focus on, well, what companies are doing work that inspires you? Who's doing work that you're passionate about? What missions are you really excited to learn more about? Because when I think about who is going to energize me, who's going to fulfill me, who's going to help me take the next step, it's the people that I genuinely admire. And so many people don't take the time to really follow the passion and the genuine interest. They're just spamming the internet. I need a job, or I just need to get a customer. I just need to get a client. They don't take that time to get intentional of who that ideal client is, who is that ideal business, who is that ideal leader that I need to be focused on connecting, and taking that step to be intentional about who they're connecting with and why. Because so many times there's people out there, and I see it every day, are copying and pasting the same template message, and they're just spamming the internet, sending 100 DMs a day, and they wonder why nobody's getting back to them. Because people can feel that. People can feel that you did not write that message because you want to meet with them specifically. And so I'll give you an example. I was watching CNBC one day, and I saw the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. I used to work with her, and she was really saying something inspiring that really it sparked an interest, and it really resonated with me. So I immediately messaged her on Instagram, and I just said, "Hey, I just saw you on CNBC. You look great. I really resonated with your message about this. How are you doing?" And she immediately wrote back. And so here's the thing. A lot of people will be like, well, that's just brown nosing. I don't like to be, it's one of those people that's just sucking up and all that negative self-talk and that cynicism, and it keeps people in their shell from connecting and being vulnerable. That's your ego blocking you from vulnerability because you're scared. And I see this over and over again. We work with the top 10% of the country, and the higher you go, the higher the imposter syndrome and the higher the self-doubt. And it's just, you're too smart for your own good. So you start to talk yourself out of things that take you to the next level. And one of those is vulnerability. And vulnerability is the key to connection. But so many people are afraid of it. I see it over and over again. It's fear of judgment and fear of rejection. And I've seen it thousands of times now through Career Evolve. We help people upgrade their career, and they hesitate and they hesitate and they overthink and they overcalculate and they don't put themselves out there because they're so afraid of judgment. And fear of judgment is actually the second biggest fear after death. And so all these fears of why would they want to talk to me? Why would they make space for me? This is a big one. And a lot of people don't realize that being able to start to connect with higher level people means you have to actually believe you're worthy of that connection. I repeat, you have to actually believe you're worthy of that connection, meaning you have to be willing to know that you can offer value to them too. And a lot of people think about value in such a black and white way, but they miss the emotional components of value. And so I want to talk a little bit more about how to build these connections, because this is what blocks a lot of people. They don't understand, why would this person that doesn't know me make time to connect with me? And it has to do with really, well, what's your intention going in? And you'd be surprised, because people that show a genuine interest in connecting and in that person specifically, and you honor them and you make them feel significant, you'll be surprised at how many of them will actually give you 10 minutes of their time. And we see it over and over again with our clients getting CEOs on the phone. If you're relevant and you can add value to people, there's so many ways you can add value beyond just the business value that you offer, but also through your presence. And so when you think about building a relationship with a high level person, let's just talk about a CEO. I am a CEO, and I get so many messages every day. what really catches my attention are people that have done their research on me. And it's not just a quick Google search, but maybe it's somebody who's actually read my book or somebody that's actually taken the time to listen to one of my podcast episodes and has really done their due diligence to get to know what I stand for, what matters to me and my mission. C-level executives are very purpose-driven, significance-driven. They want to be around people who truly align with their values and their mission. So when you've taken the time to understand what's important to me, what causes, what purpose, why do I do what I do, and you're able to speak in that contextual way and be that relevant, that's going to resonate with me. And so every single person that's been on my team that I've hired, I have not posted a job because I don't want to work with people who just want a job. I want to work with people who really want to be on this mission with me and really are passionate about that because that's really what I'm about. And my mission at Career Evolved is to raise the consciousness of leaders in corporate America. I've got other organizations that I'm a part of that I'm really focused on and passionate about. So anybody that would take the time to understand the purpose behind those missions and really be able to speak specifically on how they align with those purposes would absolutely get my attention over the other 99% of messages that are just a pitch, talking about an outcome, promising results that they probably cannot get with my business. And so I just say this because half the time is actually taking the time to prove that you actually want to connect with that person specifically. And when you take that time and you put that energy in and you follow up consistently, that shows that you really want to connect with that. And so another way is really believing that you can connect with them. I think that's an important piece because I operate under the belief that if I want to connect with someone and I really am committed to getting that connection, I know that I will find a way, whether it's through another relationship, an introduction, whether I've got to buy their product, buy their course, buy their time. At the end of the day, you can either put a lot of time and energy into something, or you can invest and honor their time. And a lot of my best business relationships started with me offering to pay for their time because I respect and honor the value that they give. And then what kind of impression is that when you right out the gate are like, I know I want to work with you. I admire your work. How can we work together one-on-one? Can I invest in a session with you? Or what's the best way for me to get your insight on this? That's incredibly top tier because that shows honor and respect. And I know that how you make someone feel right out the gate, that first impression is everything with how much they're going to want to get back to you when they see that email in their inbox next time, or they see that text come through. Because, and I'll say this over and over again, I say it all the time to my clients, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's a quote from Maya Angelou. But again, so many people forget that this is about how you make someone feel when they read that first message. Do they feel honored? Do they feel respected? Do they feel seen? Do they feel heard? You'd be surprised at how many people at the top are not truly feeling seen and heard. They may be admired for the things they have, for their wealth, for their power, but truly taking the time to get to know them and what really matters to them. What are they interested in? And really going deep. Like, so for me, I had somebody deeply research me and say, I saw that you have a son with autism and I wanted to share some resources with you. I'd be happy to chat, would reconnect and see what I could offer you from my experience with this. And of course, I'm going to get on a call with them. And of course, naturally I'm going to be like, how can I support this person in the future? They're supporting one of my most important things to me, my son and my family. And when you think about it that way, holistically, so many times in business, we try to separate the personal and the business, and that is could never be furthest from how relationships are actually built. Because at the end of the day, if you've got two people that are qualified that you could do business with, that you could either work with or you can hire to work with as a consultant, as a coach, as an advisor, as a service provider, if they're both equal, who are you going to go with? Well, the one you like more, the one that aligns more with your values, the one that you're going to have more fun with. And people overlook the value of fun. People want to work with people that they can have a good time with. We spend so much of our time working in our businesses that we forget those emotional values, those intangibles. So, I remember I was on the phone with a guy and we barely talked for 30 minutes, but I saw that he was a Knicks fan. And the Knicks happened to be going far in the playoffs for the first time in forever. So, of course, I bring that up. We're talking basketball for like 10 minutes. And then it took 20 minutes for a huge investment, and he made the investment. Not just because we had that rapport. Of course, he'd been following and all the value I offer at scale just through my marketing, but it was that relationship. It was that trust, and that rapport creates a level of letting your guard down and allowing you to feel really connected and really just cared for. Because a lot of people skip the rapport, and I used to be like this in business. I would be like, let's just get down to business. Let's just get to the agenda. Let's go. And when you operate in that way where you're so transactional and you don't take the time to make people feel cared for, make people feel understood, get to know what they're about, get to know a little bit about what's important to them, their family, are they married, what's going on. When you don't take that time to show genuine interest in them as a human being, they may not say it. It may not even come up to the forefront of the conversation, but you didn't honor them and you didn't make them feel significant. And what we fail to realize is a lot of these decisions, whether it's hiring or who you want to give your money to and do business with, are emotional decisions. We tend to rationalize our decisions, our purchases, but they are the emotions that are driving those decisions. And then we rationalize our emotions to make it make sense. But under the surface, it's the emotions driving the decisions. And this is especially true with hiring, especially when you're competing like at the top 5% of the country, everybody's qualified. So it comes down to that. And same thing in my business, we help consult executives on their career. And there's a lot of competition in this business. There's a lot of people who do what we do. There's a lot of people running ads making the exact same claims. But why we continue to win and continue to be at the top of our industry is because we take a holistic approach and we understand that all of that matters. Why someone is doing what they do is so much more important than what they do. I repeat, and this is a true principle that I want to make sure you take away from this, if nothing else. Why you do what you do, once people understand that, now you have way more influence into it. So if you're all just about the outcome and can you help me? Yes, no, quid pro quo, and you don't have the purpose, the impact, the connection, the values, the alignment, why you do what you do isn't coming through, you will not get the same amount of trust, because that comes through in every way that you're communicating, what you're focusing the conversation on, and your ability to truly connect with that person. So it's going to be a conversation that it's like white noise. They forget it 5 minutes later. They forget your name a day later. And so it's the people that take the time and the intention to be very in tune with who people are, why they do, and they're also skilled at communicating why they do what they do to create that alignment and values. That's a connection that's unmatched. And you can't force connection. You can't force that. Trying to be a people pleaser and bending and swaying to the wind of whatever anybody else wants to hear and trying to fit yourself in that box, people can feel that a mile away. And it's that pick me energy, that trying to convince, yeah, that's me too, that's me too, that's me too. And you don't really stand for anything. That is wishy-washy energy, is not influence. It's being authentic and genuine and bringing your full self to the table. And this is something a lot of people are afraid to do because they don't think there's value in that. They don't value their intangibles. They don't value their identity. They don't really think that that matters. But it's becoming more and more important than ever. As you start to compete on a global level, as you start to compete against AI, robots, and technology, relationships matter now more than they ever have. And so being able to build these emotional intelligence, this awareness, and taking the time to do things that doesn't seem relevant to you. But that's what builds trust. That's what builds synergy. That's what builds that type of connection. And connection is something that AI cannot automate. And connection is not something that can be manufactured. So again, if you remember nothing else that I said, connection matters, relationships matter, authenticity is more important than it's ever been.